Hello and welcome to Green Pass Gaming's midweek catch-up. I'm your host Flap, and tonight, as always, we've got Puxley. Hello, Pux.
Hello, Flap. How are you doing?
Yes, I am very well, thank you. It's been a bit of a news week again. We had a bit of a quiet one last week, but yes, Sony and Microsoft have started putting out a little bit more information. It's all getting very exciting. To my calculations, I think it's about 25 days until the next generation starts. So very much excited for that.
Yeah, less than a month to go now. Can't wait for it.
Exactly. So we've got quite a few topics to run through tonight. We're not going to delve too deep into any of them, but so let's start with the first one then. So it's Xbox 360 cloud saves. I missed this one, to be honest. Apparently, you don't need gold to upload your Xbox 360 saves to the cloud anymore.
That's true, yeah. So this is what's been stated. So originally, in the 360 era, when cloud saves became a thing, it was kind of in its infancy at that stage. Yeah, you did need an Xbox Live Gold subscription in order to have or to utilize cloud saves. But yeah, apparently, come the launch of the new series consoles, the Xbox 360 cloud save service is now going to be free for everyone. So you don't need a gold subscription to do that. So if you have a 360 laying around somewhere and you don't have those saves backed up for the new system, now's a great time to jump in and migrate them over.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, with backwards compatibility being the way it is and us moving on to another generation, if you do have any of those 360 saves that aren't in the cloud, then now's the time to do it. Yeah, this one missed me by, and it seemed a little bit odd because I got to be honest, I didn't even realize you needed gold to be able to upload your game saves to the cloud. And I'm sure, the vast majority of people have got gold anyway, but perhaps not everyone realized that you needed to upload your game saves to the cloud, because that wasn't around from the very beginning of the 360 era, was it?
No, it was like an extra setting. I think it was 2 or 3 years later it got introduced, and then you had to actually enable the setting. But then surprisingly, at least for me, a lot of these things, you don't just hit the button and then all your saves are automatically migrated to the cloud. I think it was new saves from the point where you enabled it were saved to the cloud, but old saves had to be migrated to the service manually in the Xbox 360 system settings. So if, like me, you still have a load of saves on the system, then yeah, you're going to have to boot up your old 360, and hopefully there might be a one-click option, but I think you may have to manually move some specific saves over as well, unfortunately.
Yes, I've got to be honest, my 360 is gathering dust now, so I've not fired that up for a long while. But it's also, lots of people have sort of commented, is this another pointer to the fact that they might be getting rid of gold? Might be, I suppose.
Maybe, but it's either that or maybe it's just all of us, again, maybe reading a bit too far into it. And actually, it's just a small cloud save system or service, which is, it doesn't really need to be a paid service anymore, because I think Game Pass is like the new kind of main seller of a subscription service, right? So I think cloud saves are pretty normal in today's world.
They are, but like I say, I don't know. I still get a feeling that Microsoft are going to get rid of gold and just roll it all into Game Pass. But we'll see. I think if that's going to happen, that will probably happen next year, in all honesty. But,
yeah, I don't see it coming immediately. But if it ever is a thing, and we're not just reading too much into it, then that'd be a good day, I think.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's another slight advantage for Microsoft to a certain degree.
Yes, yeah.
Fallout 4 was in the news as well. Obviously, a fairly old game, but it was in the news for the right reasons. They've mentioned about getting some 30 frames per second titles running at 60 frames a second, or even some 60 frames a second titles running 120 frames a second on the new generation consoles, on the S and the X. And this week we saw Fallout 4 running at 60 frames a second on the Xbox Series S. So that was really impressive, actually.
Yeah, I watched the video earlier today, and it looks good. It looks like, going from 30 to 60, a lot of people might argue that it's nothing new, but when you consider that it's mainly showing off the power of the new system, isn't it? So it is nice to see that larger games like Fallout 4 now do run at, well, at least in that snippet, ran at a nice 60 frames a second.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, there's probably some people out there that still haven't played Fallout 4 that may give it a go on their new generation consoles, and they're going to get the very best version of that for free on what is probably a 3 or 4 year old game. So that's really good. Yeah, no, that's really cool. And it's quite nice to see it running on the S as well. Because everything I believe we've seen up until now has been sort of on the X with all of the embargoes that have been lifted. So
well, a lot of it's also been more like graphics showcases, hasn't it? Which obviously the S doesn't quite live up to in terms of not being able to do 4K. But yeah, obviously being an Xbox One game, what we're really seeing is the power of the Series S being, or because it has the same CPU as the Series X, that yes, it can do it. Is the point here,
Mm.
and I think it's great that they showcase that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, the visual spoke a lot louder than the words that have been said. And it's nice for Microsoft to be able to prove what they've been telling us all of this time. So,
yeah.
Well, dealing with games from the current generation, Gears 5 has also had an optimization this time. I know we've seen it on the Series X and running kind of brute forced with its natural backwards compatibility, but it's actually been optimized now for Series X and S, and the campaign, I believe, loads in 8 seconds.
That's pretty quick.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I know my experience. I play on PC, so it's not the slowest ever really here on PC either. But I mean, there are still a few moments when you think it takes a little while to get into it, but yeah. It's nice to know that the new system actually runs these faster. But obviously, it is an old game, I should say, which has been optimized. So it's nice to know that those are the kind of improvements we can look forward to.
Well, I guess by optimized, I guess they're using the velocity architecture, possibly even not to its fullest, but they're obviously implementing that to some degree to get these load times as fast as that. And it's great to see some of these older titles being able to utilize the this new generation hardware like they are.
Yeah, I think one important thing to note here is obviously when we're seeing currently with optimized for Series X and S, we're not really seeing these as Series X games. They are just Xbox One games with those enhancements. I mean, as we all know already, we're not really going to see the real benefits of the next gen until probably late next year, when games are actually being made just for the new systems and not for the old ones anymore, or what is now current gen.
Well, that's true. But you saying that, I mean, they've got Gears 5 running higher than the highest PC settings apparently on Xbox Series X. So
That's
will be
a good point.
interesting to see.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And to be honest, I probably need to. In fact, we played that game together, didn't we, in co-op?
We did, yes, yeah.
That would be a very good reason for us to go back and go through that campaign again, just to see it in its, all of its glory. Because to be honest, playing on the Xbox One X, it looked fantastic anyway. To be honest, but on the Series X. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you played on Xbox One and I played on PC.
Yes.
But of course, my Series X is going to be hooked up to my living room TV, which is HDR 4K. So for me, it's going to be a whole new experience.
There was 3 of us, wasn't there? There was 3 of us. So there was me on the Xbox One X. We had another party member that was on the OG Xbox One, I believe, and you on PC. And I think, obviously, the Xbox One X and the PC run at 60 frames a second. I think the OG Xbox runs at 30. And we was all in the same game playing together as a party and stuff, but obviously all experiencing it in slightly different ways. But that's the beauty of a console, isn't it? You can consolidate all of these settings and stuff and kind of ensure everyone gets the same experience.
Yeah, that's the argument, isn't it? There's a lot of people, I think, especially more towards what's going into the current gen. I've seen a lot of arguments online for people saying, just get a PC instead because it's better than all of that. But it's like, well, one, is it now? And two, gaming PCs of a decent build are more expensive than these units. So,
well, yeah, exactly. They're a lot more expensive. But the other thing that PCs tend to do is they tend to brute force everything, don't they? So, you can have a 3090 GPU and you can have, an i9 CPU and stuff. But, although they will work in some kind of harmony, they won't work in harmony quite like a custom built console will. So things like the velocity architecture can bring all of that together, whereas that doesn't quite exist in PC. They sort of brute force their way through the issue, don't they?
I mean, unless the game itself has been made specifically for PC, then otherwise a lot of games are obviously made for console with a PC port, strangely kind of being what happens afterwards. So I do get what you mean.
Well, Microsoft weren't the only ones this week to be showing off slightly. I think it was today, actually. Yeah, the Sony dropped the PlayStation UI that everyone seems to have been clambering over and waiting for. Let's have a chat about that.
Earlier today, Sony at least I saw it on YouTube, released their first look at the PlayStation 5 user experience, i.e. the user interface, which all of us would be using when we're not loading into a game. And it kind of opened up with Sackboy: The Big Adventure, I believe it's called, or Big Adventures. And the guy was kind of running around and talking about what was new. And by hitting the PlayStation button, rather than comparing to PS4, rather than loading up all of the home screen on your display, you just kind of got these what's now called cards, which pop up at the bottom of the screen, and you can now kind of scroll through these to access settings or other stuff. And then part of these card systems was a new thing called activities, which I thought was quite interesting. And I believe this is a developer integrated feature, effectively, where if you have like a PlayStation trophy or something in the game, or some sort of achievement within the game that you haven't completed and could do, these cards will show as an activity that you can potentially go and do. And what I thought was great also, or a good addition, was the PlayStation will also analyze your gameplay, and based on that, it will tell you how long it reckons that you will take to complete that task, which I thought was quite cool.
I quite liked that, and I'd quite like, because I like achievement hunting and stuff, and it would be nice to see in time how quickly the game thinks you could get certain achievements. I mean, the sort of percent progression isn't particularly new from an Xbox perspective with regards achievements, but this kind of takes it to the next level, doesn't it? It kind of breaks it down even further into sort of individual tasks.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, the PlayStation 4 did also show you a progression bar on your PlayStation trophies as well, but this is the next step up. So if I saw something on there which I think I've got enough time, I think I can do that task, and you can just jump straight in, press the button, and through the UI the game will load into it. But again, I think the important thing to note here is that I did say this was a developer-driven addition, so not all games are necessarily going to have that feature.
I agree, and there was a hints and tips section as well, wasn't there? If you were struggling, you could sort of open up a picture-in-picture video, or sort of snap it to the left or the right and stuff. But it makes me wonder how much buy-in there will be from third-party developers with this. I'm guessing all first-party games will utilize that feature to the fullest. Will Call of Duty? Possibly not, to be honest. It might do. I guess time will tell. It will be handy if they do. I'm not sure if the Xbox has anything similar. If it does, they've certainly not shown that off. But I didn't think it was a bad idea. One thing that did sort of pop out is the evolution of the PlayStation UI, because even on the first boot screen where it said press the PS button, there was that sort of floaty, glittery background, and that reminded me very much of the kind of ribbon that you had in the background of the PS3 of all things. So so you can see how you can see how the UI has evolved from the PS3 days. Even
it's interesting you say that, because as it all kind of from the PlayStation 3 is where the kind of the current user experience, because that's where it was in its infancy at that stage. You say got the ribbon in the background, and you had the controller icon for your games, and I think it was like what was it, like a music icon for music, and like a film reel thing for videos and that kind of stuff. And from that, the PlayStation 4 kind of expanded on that by introducing the tile system. I don't know if that's its official name, but they are kind of tiles for each of your different games and applications. But what's also an interesting addition with the new setup is that is with the PlayStation Store. So strangely, on the PS3, the PlayStation Store was naturally integrated as part of the operating system. On the PlayStation 4, the store was actually a separate app you had to load into, believe it or not. So it was a bit of load time to actually get into the store, and things wouldn't necessarily buffer properly, or at least not for me or my system. But on the PS5, they've now gone back to the original PS3 makeover, and it's all integrated in now. So in theory, especially with the SSD in place, you can now seamlessly go to your store tab, hit the down button, and you're now browsing the store, which in terms of essence and speed and time, I think is a really good thing to have.
It seems an obvious thing to do, doesn't it? There was obviously a reason they did it. And to be honest, even Microsoft have had issues with the store, and it's a hell of a lot better now than it was a couple of months ago. They've put a big update and a lot of time and effort into the store, and it seems kind of integrated across all Microsoft devices, actually. So the back end of the store seems to have got a lot faster, and obviously Xbox is just one of the devices that seems to have benefited from that.
Yeah, and another thing which isn't necessarily new in terms of what is current gen, because I believe the Xbox One and the PS4 do these as well. But it's also been confirmed that the UI will run at 4K HDR, which is it's a nice addition to have, because obviously most people now will be having 4K and HDR TVs or displays or at least moving forward in the future, where they're coming down in price, so more people are going to have them. So it's nice to know that you're going to have this nice looking, vivid, colourful UI to jump into.
Yeah, I don't know if that's been disclosed on the series, on the Xbox Series consoles yet. Whether it's, it would probably almost definitely be, well, on the Series X, it will be 4K, most likely HDR. It would be an interesting one to see what it runs out on the Series S, actually, whether that's 1080p or 1440p.
Yeah, you'd like to assume it's 4K, but again, that's not been officially confirmed, is it? So time will tell, I guess.
It's not a 4K box, although it is capable of outputting 4K. I believe, with things like
Series S, you mean? Yeah, of course.
Sorry, Series S. Sorry, yeah, like Netflix and YouTube 4K videos and stuff like that. So, that will be interesting to see what the sort of UI runs like on the Series S. Okay, let's move on, shall we? The Series 2 Elite controller has had a warranty extension from 90 days up to 1 year. I don't think it's quite a year old yet. It might be. I think it's coming up to a year old, this Series 2 Elite controller. There's been a class lawsuit against Microsoft back. I think that started back in May with these drifting thumbsticks. And I know that the Series 2 Elite controller has been added to the list. And I'm guessing this might be in response, Microsoft's response to that perhaps class action lawsuit with regards to the drifting sticks. But I think Nintendo suffered a similar issue as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, this has been going for a lot longer in the Nintendo world. Yeah, the Joy-Con controllers, I think specifically the left Joy-Con, I believe, is for some reason quite susceptible to this analog drift issue. But then a lot of people, of course, online claim that it's only the Switch controller which has this, no other controllers do, which, if that is the case, that's fine. But then what I find interesting about this is that the makeup of an analog stick has not changed since the PlayStation 1. Obviously the parts and the methods of putting these things together would have updated in that time, but the general theory and the concepts behind how analog sticks operate and work from a mechanical and electrical perspective has not really changed at all. So I find it interesting to think, why is it only the Nintendo ones which have really seen this? I haven't personally seen this on my Switch system. A lot of people are saying that maybe it's a bit of dirt or dust which gets underneath the caps and maybe that interferes with something, but no one really knows. And it's gotten to the point, I think Nintendo themselves, even quite recently, almost dismissed it themselves, not kind of half officially, but not quite. The wording was very strange. I don't have it in front of me right now. But yeah, they've almost kind of half dismissed it themselves as to say it's not really a problem, though, is it? But of course, a lot of people don't like that.
I know on the Microsoft side of things that there were some photos evidencing, I think it was it looked like oil or something that had got onto one of the PCBs that was potentially affecting stick drift and things like that. So I'm not really sure where this is going, to be honest, or whether the lawsuit will actually be successful. I'm not sure how that's progressing, but it's just interesting that these things crop up. I mean, I've had my Series 2 Elite controller since Christmas holiday last year. I've not had a single issue, if I'm honest. So perhaps I'm lucky. I don't know.
I think these news things maybe can blow it out of proportion to say that a lot of people have it, but I think it's such a small number of people that do actually experience this when you consider the millions of systems and controllers which get sold.
Yeah. So perhaps it's the vocal minority.
Or it could just be someone that's got stuck of a like a machine defect, manufacturer defect or something, and for some reason may have got two on the trot, which you'd argue is unlikely, but it is possible. So
I don't deny that there's a thing. I don't deny that it's actually an issue. I just don't know how Microsoft and everyone gets out of this situation, but be interesting to see. Flight Sim, that's been in the news as well. Although again, I missed this one. This is quite a good one, actually. There was a Reddit user called Ogaz. And he's actually managed to insert an Xbox Series X into the Flight Sim world that you can actually fly around. We've actually got a video of it here. I'll just show you the video. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's got even lights up at night time as well. I like that.
I think people might be getting excited.
Is that placed over the Microsoft Redmond office?
I meant to look that up, actually. That's a very good point. I don't exactly know where it is located in the world, but you'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think I read it's something like that. I don't know for certain, unfortunately, but
that would be cool.
It's cool. I think it's a really great addition.
Yeah,
bit of fun, isn't it?
Talking of launch, like I say, to my calculations, I think it's 25 days until the next generation begins. And today we were gifted a list of titles that will be Series X and S optimized that will be available on day one, 10th of November. So
Cool.
here is that list. We're going to go through relatively quickly. I tweeted this earlier as well, actually. In fact, I missed one off the bottom of my tweet. There's a game called Yes, Your Grace, but we'll come to that as we quickly go through the list. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla, did you actually see the deep dive that they did? Ubisoft?
I've not watched this yet. It's something I'm going to try and watch tomorrow if I can.
The graphical fidelity is taken a leap forward. It looks fantastic.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I just wish they disclosed which system they'd actually shown that on. I think most people assume it's probably a PC, but it would be nice to know what the next gen console versions of that's going to look like. So, Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
It's going to get an update. Bright Memory 1.0. Now, there's a little bit of confusion around Bright Memory 1.0.
Yes.
Bright Memory has been out since January 2019, I believe.
That's correct. It was in an open beta, I believe, or a closed beta at the time. Yeah,
it's like a tech demo, and then that sort of tech demo stroke beta come to a close. But they've now done a Series X and S enhanced or optimized version of Bright Memory, and they're calling it Bright Memory 1.0. Now, this isn't to be confused with Bright Memory Infinite. Bright Memory Infinite is the sort of final game, shall we say, to this series. This is kind of like the tech demo. Bright Memory Infinite is still on for a 2021 launch, I believe.
That's correct? Yes, it's 2021. We don't know when yet, but we just know it's coming next year.
I think Bright Memory, when it first came out, was on Steam. I don't think it's been on Xbox before, so I'm guessing this will be the first time it's been on Xbox, and it's called 1.0. And like I say, it's kind of like a tech demo with Xbox Series X and S enhancements, and you'll be able to play it on November the 10th. Cuisine Royale. Yeah, Cuisine Royale. This is an old one.
So I did some looking up on this. So it's basically it's a battle royale, and it looked similar to PUBG in a way. And apparently it started off as a joke, and didn't really take itself too seriously. And then it became kind of built a bit of a cult following. And then it's now released. It's Cuisine Royale, and it's a over-the-shoulder battle royale game, just like something like PUBG.
It's a bit of a quirky one, I believe, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So Dead by Daylight, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. I think we saw a glimpse of that in the PlayStation 5 showcase last.
I believe we did, yeah.
Dirt 5, obviously that's been in the news quite a lot. I personally think, let's do Dirt 5 while we're here. I personally think that it's a dirt game, and it kind of lived up to my expectations personally of A, what a dirt game would look like, but B, what a next generation version of a dirt game would look like, to be honest. I think it ticked all of those boxes. I'm not so sure what the gaming media kind of meant when they said they didn't feel it looked next generation, because I'm not sure their expectations were set correctly, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is around because it's not a new game, is it? It was an Xbox One game, right?
Not Dirt 5. Dirt 5's new.
Oh, it is new. Okay, that's my mistake. So I must be thinking of something else, because they have a lot of things which have been shown off is the kind of performance to graphics modes, isn't there? You've obviously got the 120 frames mode, or you've got the 4K 60 mode, and I've seen again. It's an early build though, right? That we've seen so far. It's not a final product by any means. So again, we get this a lot when you see like, there's a bit of flack in the graphics, but it's not a final product at this point. So there is time to improve that. So hopefully we'll see.
I think Dirt 5 is actually released on the 3rd of November. So I think that comes out a week before the Series X and S launch.
Okay.
But obviously, when they do land, they will have the optimization on day one. Enlisted looks like a World War II squad-based MMO. Yeah,
so I've not really seen much of this one, but yeah, as you just said, it's an MMO World War II squad-based shooter. So that's coming to the systems. If you're into that, that's good to know.
Evergate, I didn't know this. We quickly looked it up before we went live, and it looks like very much like Ori. It's a kind of a 2D side-scrolling platformer. Looks very pretty actually, and it's the character looks just like Ori, doesn't it?
It's like a white ghost, I believe. It looks nice and cartoony if you're into that kind of thing.
Highly inspired, shall we say? The Falconeer, that's been slated to run at 120 frames a second, hasn't it? Fortnite, everyone knows Fortnite. Forza Horizon 4, very excited for that update patch, and Gears 5. Obviously, we've spoken about that. Gears Tactics, I've not played that. I do have a gaming PC, but I've resisted downloading that because I want to play it on the Series X. Grounded, be interested to see what the Grounded updates are.
Yeah, that'd be cool. You know what? I have got it downloaded on my PC, but I haven't actually tried it yet. So whether or not I'll just wait now until the Xbox One and give that a go, maybe I'll do that.
We'll jump into a game together. We'll do a video on that one. So we've got King Oddball, which is a bit like an Angry Birds clone. Man-Eater, which is the shark game. Manifold Garden, what's that one all about?
Yeah, so this is almost like another indie darling as well. So this is like an optical illusion FPS puzzler. If you've ever played a game called Antichamber, which is a PC game, it's kind of like that in terms of the optical illusions and having to be careful where you look and things change. It's really good. It looks really good. And there was a demo that got released recently as part of the Steam Autumn Indie Festival. So unfortunately, as of today, I think that festival's now finished. You can't play that anymore, but you could play it, and it's got really good reviews and ratings so far based on the clips and demo. So a lot to look forward to there.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Well, carrying on, we've got NBA 2K21, Observer, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Planet Coaster. I'm really excited for that. I do have that on my PC. Yeah. I remember when it first came out. I think it's probably 3 or 4 years old now, this game, or from memory. And I know you needed a bit of a beast of a PC to build, a substantial theme park, as it were. Yeah. But I'd like to think that the Series X and hopefully the S will be able to run this fairly comfortably, actually. I think one of the toughest transitions will be obviously from mouse and keyboard to controller with regards to that sort of world building.
These kind of games are very UI driven, aren't they, as well? So I'd be interested to see how they've managed it with a controller.
Yeah, no, me too. Tetris Effect Connected. I think we saw that on the Xbox showcase, didn't we? Looked okay. The Tourist. We've played the Tourist. Quite like the Tourist.
I really like this game. Yeah.
War Thunder. That's the aeroplane one.
Yeah, it's like the aeroplane dogfighting game. Very, very popular. It's similar to World of Tanks, but planes in the air.
Planes, yep. Yeah. Warhammer, Chaos Bane Slayer Edition, Watch Dogs Legion, WRC 9 FIA, Yakuza Like a Dragon, again in the news, and Yes, Your Grace, which is a medieval kingdom management game. It's kind of...
Yeah, it's like a pixel art indie darling as well, I think. So if you're into those kind of like management games, I think that might be something you want to jump into. I've not tried it myself, but maybe it's really good. I don't know. I've not tried it.
It's coming on the 10th of November, and I'm not sure how you would Xbox Series X or S enhance that game, but it is going to be. So I guess it might load in half a second or something like that, perhaps, because I'm not convinced it's many gigabytes, but be interesting to see. And I'm quite pleased with the list now. And I'm liking this sort of I wouldn't say slow, but sort of constant trickle of information that's coming out all the way up till launch now. I'm getting really excited and hyped, and I think everyone else needs to be.
This is like Xbox have said, haven't they? About apparent, I can't remember who the name was now, but there was one of the Xbox employees from Twitter basically saying that I know we keep saying it, but there is going to be more news to come leading up to the launch of the system for the next obviously 4 weeks or so. So.
Well, perhaps we'll save that. Perhaps we'll save that for one of our podcasts.
Oh yes,
I think that might be a little bit too much of a bigger topic to discuss on today's show. Well, so having said that, that's kind of our news for today. And like I say, it's really exciting, and we're not far off next generation. Less than a month. And to be honest, it will be here before we know it, and we'll be here covering it day and date. So I'm really looking forward to that. So,
yes.
If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Please share with anyone that you think might enjoy our content. We're very grateful for any support that you can show us. We don't get everything right all of the time. We could spend days and days and days researching all of these sort of information to the nth degree, but both Pucks and I, we've got a daytime job. We have to work. So sometimes we have to make assumptions. Sometimes we sort of, do best guess if we can. This isn't about necessarily bringing you absolutely accurate facts and figures, although we certainly do try our best. But this is more of an opinion piece in lots of ways. But we enjoy doing these. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, Pucks.
Thank you very much. I love this as always.
Excellent. And we'll see you on the next one.